I'm Gavin, and this is MLS Fantasy Picks.
Instead of sharing exactly who I'm picking every round, I'll be sharing my recommendations based on budget. I'll call out who I recommend at a higher price point, premium, normal price point, standard, and a low price point, budget. There aren't specific ranges for these tiers as value will fluctuate throughout the season. Now that we've got that covered, let's get into round one. It is a double game week, meaning any players on the double game, they'll have 2 games in the round. Both of their scores will be tallied up, so they have a better chance for a higher score. There may be some rotation due to CONCACAF Champions Cup, which is the CCC. Just keep an eye on how those games are going during the week and be sure to check lineups as always. Also think about some notable injuries. Some big name players like Hector Herrera are out, so just keep an eye on that as you're setting your lineups. And don't forget, it is a completely new season, 2024. We've got some new transfers in, transfers out. Keep that in mind. We can only go off of the data from last year. So yeah, let's get into it. When I was looking at goalkeepers this week, there wasn't too many great options. A lot of good keepers were on away. So I just got a few good keepers to look out here for the first round. First up, Drake Callender. I think it's an easy pick. You're not blowing your budget at 6.5, and he's got a double game week with at least one home game. So yeah, I think Drake Callender is a good shout. Another one I like, it's Andre Blake. Phillies at home, kind of hard to beat. Standard pricing, I think Zach McMath is about 6. He'll get you the double game week, so he'll have 2 shots to, tally his points up. Both of his matches are away though, so I would recommend Callender over McMath, even though it's the 0.5 difference. And budget keepers, I'm really not recommending any. I was looking through there, and unless, someone is injured, keep an eye out. There might be a good chance to start a budget keeper, but really not many great options for this first round. All right, looking at defenders now. Let's look at our first premium pick of Julian Gressel. So Gressel has always been a strong, fantasy player. He absolutely dominated last year with his, set pieces. He's dangerous on the attack, ranks up those bonus points. He's in Miami now. They've got a double game week, so I think he is also a good look for round 1. Bit pricey, but could be worth the money. Up next, I've got Kai Wagner. Of course, Kai also a great defender for fantasy. He's on a lot of set pieces. I think he's worth the 7.5 this week with a good matchup at home. And also, Barreal. I've heard he hasn't been really playing much or at all in the preseason, but again, he is also a dangerous wingback on a dangerous FC Cincinnati squad. So if he's not, looking to start this week, keep your eyes peeled on lineups. Maybe you could slot in another Cincy defender. And looking at standard pricing, so Jordi Alba I think is a 6.5. If you don't want to drop the coin on Gressel at a 7.5, I think Alba is another good look. I think Miami, they've got those double game weeks, so at least you've got 2 games hopefully from Alba. So yeah, good standard look for him. And Miles Robinson, he's come into Cincinnati. I think it'll be him and Miazga at center back there in Cincinnati. I think he's a good price if you don't want to go all out for Barreal, but like that Cincinnati matchup, it could be a good look. Also, again, if you don't want to spend all the money on Wagner, you could look at someone like Lesnes or Elliott because Philly do have a good, record at home. They could get that clean sheet, but also, don't want to bank everything on that. Justin Glad, I wasn't a huge fan of him, but I think his price point's pretty good for the week. He's got the double game week, could rack up some bonus points on defense there. So if you like Real Salt Lake this week, give him a try. Budget defenders, I wasn't liking a whole lot this week. I think McGraw is a bit of a stretch, so I don't know if I'd really recommend him, but if you absolutely need someone, he's a starting center back that's not too much money. Farzi, I do like a bit more than McGraw. Farzi got pretty, dangerous in the offense last year, sending in crosses, getting chances for assists. And then Malanda, I think he could be a good 4.5 starter if you want to save some money on our first round of fantasy here. 4.5, I'm not huge on Charlotte, but if you want, a low price starter, Malanda could be the look for you. And now on to midfielders. First premium pick I've got, Lucho Acosta. Acosta is very, very dangerous on the fantasy side. I think he's their PK taker. He's a huge chance creator. So yeah, big fan of Acosta this week at $9 million. Up next is Mukhtar. Mukhtar let us down a bit last season after a pretty strong season prior to that. I think Nashville is just not the same as they used to be. We'll look to see if Mukhtar can bounce back this year. I think he's at an 8.5, so not an awful look this week for round one. And then Heel. I know Heel is away. I don't really have a lot of away players in these rankings, you'll probably notice. But Heel is one who is always, creating chances, finding an opening, and he is also their PK taker. So they're playing DC United away. It's sort of a rivalry. But yeah, I think Heel is a good shout this week. Moving on to standard. So I think we're down to about 8 million here with Torres. I like Torres. I like Orlando's matchup this week. He's pretty dangerous on the attack. Also, their PK taker. In fantasy, you want to look for those players that are either, a penalty kick taker, they're on corners, anyone that's on set pieces to give you more opportunities, to rack up those points. Another 8 million this round is Gazdag. So Gazdag is pretty goal dependent. At least last season he was. So again, another trend here. Gazdag is on PKs for Philadelphia, but that matchup is pretty nice at home against Chicago, so I like him this week. Leuven, I think Leuven's a good look this week as well. He won't really break your budget completely in the midfield. Big chance creator for St. Louis. It'll be interesting to see how St. Louis look this year after a really strong 2023. And Pablo Ruiz. I think he's a pretty popular pick this week, center midfielder for Real Salt Lake, who's on that double game week. So he should give you a pretty, decent floor. 2 games there. Hopefully he plays a good amount in both, so he can at least get you a solid score there. Looking at the budget players, not too cheap, but Diego Luna's 7 mil, I think. So if you don't want to, spend the 7.5 on Ruiz, you can go for Luna. He's a very good player. He's very young, but I think this will be a year where he can really break out, and hopefully it breaks out in the fantasy side as well. Matan, pretty cheap. He can also be dangerous on the offensive side with Columbus. Always in there creating chances with Cucho and some others up top. So could be a good look if you need if you need to save some money in the midfield. And one of my sneaky picks this week, I like Chouanier of Montreal. I'm curious to see what Montreal's lineup would look like. But a lot of times last year in fantasy, Chouanier would be a really good, budget pick who can, I don't know if he's on PKs, but he seems to be a good option, chance creator, score some goals. And now for round one forwards. Who else but Leo Messi to get things started? I don't really need to say more. He is, I think, 10 million to get things started. So hoping for big things from Messi this week. He's got 2 games, one at home, one away. So hopefully he plays a good amount of minutes there. Not much else to say. It's Leo Messi. Up next, we've got Cucho Hernandez. I was a big fan of Cucho last year. He's a very dangerous striker. He's also a good chance creator, so a lot of options or opportunities for him to get you those assists as well. So I like Cucho. He's home this week. And Denny Bouanga. You also can't argue with Bouanga. Very dangerous for LAFC's attack. I think he's a good look even for the pricey 9 million. Chicho Arago might be a bit more popular this week with the double game week. Both games are away, but Chicho, I think, is one of the main attackers for Real Salt Lake. Very good option for fantasy this week. Jesus Ferreira, he's hit or miss sometimes. When he really hits, he hits, and when he doesn't, he'll get you a nice solid 1 or 2, and you will regret everything that you did. But yeah, I think he's an okay look this week. Dallas at home. If you want to go for it, go for it. And then Bupenza. I think Bupenza is a decent look. I think he's about 8 million to get things started. They're at home. They're against Chicago. He could link up with Lucho for some big chances. And of course, can't forget Mr. King Julian himself, Julian Carranza. Philly at home against Chicago. Not much else to say. Looking at the budget picks, I don't think you really need to go budget on forwards this week. There are a lot of good options. I'd recommend spending some money, but if you absolutely need to save, maybe look at Corey Baird. He should be up top with Bupenza and Acosta, so maybe he could get some goal opportunities as well. And then Kamungo. Maybe you're not a huge fan of Ferreira. Kamungo should be starting. He's pretty cheap, maybe a 5.5. But yeah, Dallas at home, why not? And to finish off with captain picks, Leo Messi. I think a lot of us will be captaining him. 1, he's Lionel Messi. 2, he's on a double game week. Let's just hope he plays enough minutes to, get us plenty of fantasy points. Up next, I've got Lucho. I know he's not on the double, but he is, so dangerous from his, PK opportunities, his big chances created. He's just a great fantasy option, and he's got a great matchup at home. So if you don't want to go Messi or a different double game week player, Costa could be a good look. And last captain pick I recommend is Ruiz. He's probably a safe pick, who should get you a decent floor both games. So if you want to just, coast, not take a huge chance, where's the fun in that? But hey, could be a safe pick for your round 1 captain. All right, so that wraps up my round 1 picks and tiers. Thanks everyone for watching. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to never miss a video. Leave a like, comment. Let me know what you think of the new format. We'll be sure to work through the kinks as we get things moving. Excited to be back, and good luck everyone in round 1.